So yeah, before you get started with your startup, you need to make a B plan. And in general, tech startups are about solving problems across three areas. So you need to build a product which is engaging and which can retain users. Whether you're selling stuff or not on it, it's a different thing. But at the end of the day, your experience should pull people back to the product, right? So you're taking care of elements like onboarding, activation, engagement, and retention becomes critical. Onboarding is essentially when the user joins the platform, the whether it's filling the registration details, or in some cases there is some stuff beyond that as well. So the initial process of the user joining the platform. So you need to optimize on that. Then activation is nothing but kind of getting the user to take a key action on your platform. So I will delve into these in detail in the subsequent part of the presentation. Uh, Engagement, this is quite intuitive. It is just the amount of time or the number of sessions the user spends on your platform, and retention is your ability to retain the user, of course. So these things are essential for a product. So when you're building a B plan and when you're thinking about launching a product, you need to think of these elements, as in how would you crack these four problems, right? The next part of the puzzle is solving for distribution. So most first-time founders, what they do is they focus completely on product. Some of them look at monetization, but they forget about the distribution part, and that is where a lot of first-time founders actually fail. So there are various ways to distribute your product. Now, this is of course becoming common knowledge over time, but community is a very solid way to do this. And I think the folks at Metvy also have been doing this pretty well, right? So SEO, search engine optimization, yet another piece which you need to crack early on. So there's I'll speak about these in detail as we move along, of course. So you have SEO, social media, so cracking the various channels of social media. So not every channel may be required for your startup, but there could be channels which have affinity for your product and for your target segment. So identifying the right channels. I'll speak about all of these in detail in the subsequent slides. SEM, referrals, content sharing. This is generally how you kind of distribute your product. There are other ways as well. So it's not completely exhaustive, but these are the common ways. Then you have, this is essential. So when you're building your B plan, thinking about these things is essential. So how do you crack these problems, right? And if you can think about monetization models, that's great. Now, if your product is entirely about people buying stuff from your platform or people subscribing for a service, then you absolutely need to think of these things initially. If you're building a platform where you're engaging the audience and you're going to acquire a large volume of users, then you need not worry about monetization right away, because you can kind of build your platform, and over time you can think of doing things like advertising and getting into other pieces. But you need not worry about that in case your business is centered around building a large community of users, large network of users, and engaging them there with content and with other things. So that's what you kind of need to take care of initially. So product is something I think most of the folks who are trying to build a startup, they will think about it. This is something which you need to focus on, cracking this. And once you have these two, right, only then you should, I think, go ahead with thinking about actually building a startup and building the product itself. Because if you've not figured out how to distribute it initially, then you might be in troubled waters, because you might end up building a good product, but if you can't get it out to your customers, that's a problem. So yeah, that's kind of what your initial checklist should look like, right? And of course, there are various ways to categorize the problems, but this is how I see it. Like, you build a product, you distribute it, and you monetize it. So there are three big pieces to solve, right?